Hey everybody, welcome back to the Wolterman Homestead. My name is Dylan.
And I'm Megan.
We are excited today. We are at the Celebrating the Harvest homesteading event. We are just overwhelmed with the awesome, beautiful people here, the new relationships and friendships that we have come across today. There's so many varieties, but we are really excited to give you some feedback of our experience here at the Celebrating the Harvest homesteading event.
Yeah.
So check it out.
Yeah, we got the opportunity to speak this morning on getting started on homesteading. So there will be a link down below in the description so you can go check out the presentation for yourself and kind of get an idea on the things that we talked about.
Absolutely.
Hey, okay. Sure. Let's get the break. Let somebody else go and then you can go against it.
Yeah, let's go. Wax your feet. No, let go of that rope. Get him when he's getting up. One. Yes.
Hey guys. Welcome to Mama Bear's Homesteading.
Hopefully our tent won't fly away.
Yeah. We're located in Medora, Indiana. We've been homesteading now for about 4 to 5 years.
Well, it started, we got married in 2020, and on our wedding night, Dirk built our first raised bed. And that started the whole process.
And then I was working for a commercial egg producer and wasn't allowed to have chickens. And then they decided they were going to sell us.
That Friday, we got chickens.
That Friday, we ended up with 6 chickens.
And gateway drug to homesteading, 100%.
So now we raise chickens for eggs, chickens for meat, rabbits, pigs, and we just got our first honeybee swarm this past year.
Hopefully a year and a half, or maybe a year and a half out from having goats, and we'll have quail eventually as well.
So
we've got a little antique store on the property. It's only open during the summer because it's not heated. I also have an eBay store. We've got our preserves here that they'll be available on there eventually, and I'll have the link to all that on our YouTube channel. And we have a Mama Bear Homestead Facebook business page as well.
We also have a produce stand in Bedford 2 days a week.
During the summer.
During the summer, when stuff's in season.
At Steele's Barbershop.
We don't grow everything we sell, but everything we sell is locally sourced.
Except for the peaches.
Yeah, we follow the peach crop, so this year was tough with peaches.
Yeah. But it's been fun. I mean, we've had a blast. We got to know Chase and Mama Dreams online, and one of his videos is actually what inspired me to finally. We had the GoPro for 6 months, and we had never pulled the plug and really started getting into the videos and everything. And then I saw one of his videos, raw and real, in the garden with weeds going crazy and everything, and I said, you know what, it doesn't have to be perfect, let's do it. And here we are.
Yeah, we can't thank everybody that's helped us out along this journey in the YouTube world, especially
the homesteading world. It's been such an awesome community. I mean, I locked my keys in my car first thing this morning, and I mean, just horrible start to the day off of like 1 hour of sleep, and I had 4 or 5 guys here just scrambling, and I mean, it took them about an hour, but they got my keys out, and I didn't have to pay $75 to have a locksmith come out. So super, super appreciative. Just love the community.
Yeah, the community's a big part of it. And we also have another online business called Clucky's Organic Fertilize. It should be up and running by the first of the year. Our website's built. We're just waiting on paperwork from the state. So be on the lookout for that. And I think that's about it.
And I'm Natalie.
And I'm Dirk.
My name's Tad. I own Gypsy Organics. We're a organic market vegetable farm. For the most part, that's what our big thing. We do a lot of other stuff, from making different powders, like beet powder, onion powder. We do paprika, and then we do maple sugar and maple syrup also. And we do a few canned goods, like well, we do all kinds of canned goods, but stuff we sell, from different jellies, jams, our habanero pepper jelly. So yeah, all kinds of stuff that we do on the farm. Even do eggs, some meat, all kinds of good stuff.
Sounds good. Where can people find you?
We're in Corden, Indiana. And then on the internet, we've got a Facebook page, and we've also got a web page. And you can just find us at gypsyrainorganics.com.
My name is Robin Smith. I live here in Scottsburg, about a mile down the road here from this event. I have all kinds of yummies. I have baked goods, I have fudge, candied pecans, we have honey, we have 11 hives. I also have wheatgrass. Some people like it for their kitties. This is cat grass, especially in the winter months. It's really good for digestion. I do microgreens, which are really healthy and they're good for you. And I also do jams and jellies. I have some that are really great on ice cream. I have a few that are hot jams, really good with some cream cheese and some crackers.
And where can people find you?
I live in Scottsburg.
Facebook, Instagram?
Facebook, yes. Like me on Facebook, Sedona Farms.
Well, my name's Brandy, and this is my husband, Brad. We co-owners of 6 Day Farm, and we do a couple different things. We run farm stands and go around and visit different events like this one. I make the home goods. My husband makes goat milk soap and sugar scrubs. And then we also take animals from our farm and go and do birthday parties, church events, different things like that. We just load them up in the trailer and take them out and teach people about them, let them feed them, and just make sure the kids know a little bit more about the animals.
All right, guys. So y'all didn't know it, but we've got some celebrities in the building. It's Megan Wolterman and Dylan Wolterman. These guys are plugged into every big homesteading group there is out there, I promise you. They're going to tell you about how they got started and get you guys fired up for getting started homesteading. Without further ado, take it away, guys.
Thanks, guys. So, a little bit about us. We started on a third of an acre, and we just moved, and we now have 40 acres. And so we're going to kind of share our experience and tips and things to help you guys kind of get started. So we're going to try to leave some room at the end so you guys can ask questions. So, just keep in mind.
All right, so knowing the law. This is one everyone should research. So, when you think about getting into homesteading, this is something that me and my wife thought about a lot. What animals we were going to get. Our homestead. What are the laws that we need to follow. I know, for instance, like chicken eggs, that was a big one. Now you have to have a permit for that. To sell that, which is not fun, it's not great, but that's just an example of what we have to do to sell eggs. And there's some others.
You just want to keep in mind of different county ordinances. So if you live in town, you can't have a rooster. There are things like that whenever you're wanting to get into this, you kind of want to research and kind of get an idea of what your county allows and what the state allows too. So, where do you start? So, finding the perfect homestead property can be a daunting task, but with some effort and patience, it's possible to find the ideal piece of land that suits your needs. So, first and foremost, you want to kind of figure out what your wants are, what your needs are. Make a list. So, when we started on third and acre, we started with what we had. And then when we moved, we created a list of what we wanted and what we liked to have, and kind of went from there. So whenever you find your piece of property, you want to go out a couple of times. I know the market makes it hard, makes it crazy. But you want to go out, you want to maybe take a satellite image view and figure out where you might want to put things, where you might want to put fences, where the neighbors are. You want to keep in mind of like hazardous things. When we were in the market looking for a house, we found a house that we really liked, but it had those great big power lines that kind of ran nearby. And if you research and kind of doing some stuff into that, you don't really want to live by those. And so that kind of veered us away from that property. But so you want to kind of keep in mind of things like that whenever you're looking for a homestead property. You need to have your soil tested, your water tested, things like that. And there is, a cost to those things too. So you want to build that into your budget.
Absolutely, and it's okay to have options. If you find a piece of property, because I know me and my wife, we were looking for our forever home, our forever homestead. We actually went back to properties several times because it's easy as human nature goes. You go to one place one time and then you drive off and crap, I should have done this while I was there. So we actually went back to properties multiple times to evaluate, and then if stuff come up along the way that we were brainstorming about that we wanted in our homestead, we revisited that property to see if we could get a good fit.
And like he says there, take pictures. Take pictures of a property and, kind of map out your ideas of what you're going to do. So, once you have your property, everybody kind of tells you to sit and wait a year before you do anything. Figure out where the water sits on your property. See where the sun sits. That will determine where you're going to put a garden. What's your soil like? Where would be the best place to put fencing? What type of fencing are you wanting to put in? So all these things kind of affect it. Predators and wildlife. So these two pictures are actually of our current property. So as you can tell on the left, we live up against National Forestry, which means we have a lot of predators. We have a lot of wildlife now that we've not had experience with. And so those things, are a factor with how and where we're setting things up on Homestead. Yeah.
Is there a way that we can access this information, just in case you guys don't have handouts? Like, is there a website that we can kind of
Yeah, I'll pull that back up at the end, and then you guys can write down the link. Is that okay? Yeah. Okay. Do you have anything else you want to say?
Yeah, so as you can see, as my wife mentioned, so one of the biggest things that I really looked at when we were looking at our future property was I'm a deer hunter. I love to hunt. I'm an advocate in all hunting activities, so I really wanted to find a piece of property I could allow not only me but my kids as well, teach them how to hunt, how to forage and stuff like that. So that was a big piece of the pie that I really wanted when we were learning about our property and what happened.
And I'll say on this, with learning your property, so we had the two goals this year of getting goats and gardens. And so we staked out where we wanted to put our garden. How big? It was a monster of a garden. We actually ended up putting in two. But we staked out where the garden was going to go. And I just kind of prayed over it. And like 2 days later, it rained and our seasonal creek overflowed and took out the entire garden. So that's why people say, watch your property. So then we moved where the garden was going to go. But if we had gone ahead and done it, it would have wiped out.
But there is a story behind that. So our reason our garden flooded was because we have this big culvert pipe that runs through our creek. No, we don't have beavers or anything. It's full of leaves and everything. So I had to clean that out. That's the reason it flooded.
So another thing that you're going to want to look at on your property is, do you have anything invasive that needs to be taken care of? What medicinal things might you have? What poisonous things might you have? If you have children, if you have animals, things like that, like poison hemlock, do you have that growing on your homestead that's toxic to animals and people? People kind of want to figure that out and then address those things kind of before you get more established.
All right, so infrastructure before you get livestock. It is a huge point for us because we learned the hard way. We started out, we got really overwhelmed with, we want to get, chickens, we want to get this, we want to get that. And we quickly realized, hey, we don't have the infrastructure to support what we want. So that really played a key role, element into developing our mindsets into our homestead, like our plan. livestock type, what animals you're going to get. Are you prepared for that? Are you ready for that? And I say that with grace because all of us, we want to get it now. We want to, we don't want to wait. But getting the right infrastructure in place, whether it's fencing, a barn, or shelter, whatever type of animal that you want to get, it's okay to wait, but build that. It worked well for us when we established our infrastructure, and then we got the animals. Because we learned when we got stuff fast, it didn't work out.
It's just stressful. You go into Tractor Supply Royal King and you walk past little chicks and you're like, oh, they're so cute, they're so little. And then, you're leaving the store with like 5 to 10 chicks and you're trying to figure out where you're going to put them. What's your brooder going to be? Where's your heat land? Where are you going to put them? And then they get big quick. And then what's next? So
exactly. And infrastructure is also not only short term but long term. We quickly learned that because we started on a third of an acre. We had a very limited piece of property, so we had to think about things advocatingly, and where we wanted to put our animals at, and how we were going to do that. And I say that because we ended up we put stuff somewhere and we realized, oh, well, that probably wasn't a good place for that. Let's move it over here. So that's why, like our new piece of property, planning has played a pivotal part in helping us be more efficient, more consistent with where we want to put our animals at. And obviously, it's a long-term plan, but it's helped us out a lot.
So whenever you're trying to decide what livestock you want to get, different livestock require different things. Some livestock require a lot of minerals, and so that's a extra budget you want to do. Some livestock, like goats, it's really hard to find a vet to take care of your goats. So you need to figure out, are you going to be capable of taking care of your goat when it gets down? They require different hygiene care. If you got a cow, trimming a cow's hooves or trying to mess with that, that's a big task. Goats are a little bit smaller, but do you know how to do that? Do you have something that can help you figure that out? And then I've got water accessibility because, winter gets cold. And having to thaw out frozen water is a big step, especially if you're hauling it from the house outside. And so that's something that you want to think about whenever you're trying to figure out where you're going to put your animals, is how far you're going to need to be hauling water, hauling food.
Yes, absolutely. And I wanted to also mention this too, because I'm sure it's probably going through a lot of people's minds and ears,
Speak up, please.
A lot of people probably, if this is going through their mind about, I want to build this particular thing, like a chicken coop or fencing, I don't know how to do that. So that's what me and my wife had issues with too. And it's okay. There's some projects that you may want to tackle. Take it with a grain of salt, but put it as a goal. But what we did was, it's what I love about the homesteading community, is we reach out to people. We talk to people. We've got help.
Watch videos.
YouTube is a great tool. You can find so many great videos on there that can help you figure out what you want to do. Or, if you know people like construction guys or farmers, that can help you maybe with fencing. I didn't know how to do a lot of stuff when we started. And slowly I built, my skill set, and I got better, us as a team, the kids as well. But that's always an important factor. Is you don't have to do it alone. It's ask for help. It's okay, and that has helped us out a lot growing our homestead.
The one thing too that I'll add in here is livestock guardian dogs. They require a special type of training, and they can get expensive. And so that's something you want to think about whenever you're choosing what animal you want, because that's an extra factor. Some people like to train them where they stay with you for a while, so they realize that you're the master. And then they put the livestock guardian dog out with the animal. So it's a big process.
This is my favorite. This is my favorite one.
He's a handyman.
So I am a maintenance man by trade. I'm not a hoarder of things, but I love to reuse things. I feel like do-it-yourself projects is a huge topic that we don't think about because when we think about building something or designing our homestead, we think, what are the finances involved? I need to go to the hardware store. I need to get this. I need to get that. But the truth is there are a lot of alternatives. You know, you don't have to spend thousands or hundreds of dollars on projects when you can reuse stuff. So, example, our new property, we needed a chicken coop right away. I mean, we had one in our previous property, and it was we got it for free from some family members. But moving so far away, it was going to be a lot of money to have it transported, so we ended up leaving it there. So I ended up coming up with a game plan. I actually had pallets, long pallets. I had been involved in a conveyance project for my work, and they were literally chopping this wood up and throwing it in the garbage. And I said, hey, wait a minute, I want that, you know. So I took all of that with us to our new home, and I repurposed that wood and built it. And the metal I got from my mom. She had an old building there from a farmer, and I asked him, because you just got to talk to people. You know, if you see something that maybe is laying around for a while, you know, just ask. And they may want a little something for it, but you know, I like good deals too. I'm not a man, I just like good deals. But it can save you a lot of time, a lot of effort, and I ended up using that metal to build our chicken.
Well, and you reuse the screws too, so
Yes.
the screws was basically free. I think we have to pay for some hinges.
Yeah.
So.
And then another thing that we did at our old house was a compost bin. We ended up using pallets, and it worked out really well for us. And, you know, you may be thinking like, well, how do you get pallets, or how do you come across them? Well, a lot of places, I know like Rural Kings, my sister works there, you can actually go them, and sometimes they're free, depending on if they're broken. You can actually purchase pallets like dirt cheap. And like I said, sometimes free, depending on where it's at. And then also, I don't know if anybody's thought of it, but local sawmills. I've looked into a lot of that. The sawmills are an awesome place. You can get, sometimes when they harvest wood, they'll have good wood, but it's got, you know, whatever reason, bark on it or whatever. But hey, it's straight, it may be a good piece of wood, and half the time they just throw it away. They grind it up and they use it for bed.
That's the other place with sawmills. You might get that in for free, real cheap.
Yes. And another one of my favorite do-it-yourselfers. So we do a lot of meat bird harvesting, and we looked into getting a chicken plucker.
Which is, there's one sitting out here if you've never seen one. Chase is going to butcher birds later.
Yes. And like everything, you know, they're not cheap. They come with a cost, like everything. But we ended up doing our research. That's why I said, you know, I don't know how to do that. I have an idea in my head, but how do I accomplish that? So I ended up doing research on YouTube, and there's a lot of other homesteads and people out there that actually built these. Mine in particular, my background on mine, I ended up a local appliance place. He had washers and dryers that were not in good shape. So I ended up getting one from him, and I ended up stripping it completely down, and I used the drum of the washer, and the base is still there, and I had to wire it to go, but also we had to add in some fingers inside. It is not a professional setup, but we did it ourselves, and it was a great feeling because we were allowed. It allowed us to do our harvesting more efficiently, and it worked out really well. So I was really happy with that. Again, I always encourage people to kind of think outside the box, be creative. You don't have to always settle for going to the hardware store and spending a bunch of money. I know a lot of people probably live out in the country, but farmers are, in my opinion, a great resource. You're driving down the country road, you see an old barn that's like really falling apart. I'm that guy that I'll stop by and I'll say, hey, I introduce myself, who I am, and I'll tell them, hey, I have a project going on and I'm needing some wood. I said, would you consider selling? Or, hey, I'll take your wood or clean it up for you. Barter or trade, I do that. It's a it's an old system. It's been here forever, barter and trade. And I've done that numerous times, and it's worked out really well, and I've been able to get good out of that.
So something that we put in at the old house was just a rainwater catchment system. We put it outside the greenhouse. Your roof catches a lot of water, and it's an easy, simple thing to do. Off grid with Doug and Stacy. Doug and Stacy run their entire homestead off of rainwater, and he's got videos on his channel on his system and what it looks like and how he keeps that water from freezing in those big giant tanks.
Who is that?
Off grid with Doug and Stacy. So Doug, he's got great big, I don't even know, 1,000-gallon tanks. So.
I'm born and raised in another state where collecting lead rainwater is illegal. Are there any weird laws around it?
In Indiana, not that I'm aware of, no. But that goes back to, knowing the laws.
Yeah.
Things like that. Because some counties don't want you having an RV set up. So if you're starting homesteading and you live in an RV on your land, they don't like that. So just some things to think about.
There's a number of states it's illegal.
So we just kind of started with what we had. This was our little house when we moved in here. So whenever you get your property, you want to think about your goals. You want to make a 2-year plan, a 5-year plan, and a 10-year plan. So for us, the 10-year plan was we were going to be gone. We were going to be out. So kind of start where you can. So we planted some fruit trees, we got some chickens, we tried rabbits, didn't care for that. We got a greenhouse, we did the meat burners, things like that. So set reasonable goals that you can do within a set amount of time. Maybe get one animal one year and another animal the next year and kind of go and experiment and see how it goes.
Yeah, and this was our vision, our plan, but each and everybody that is in here, your homestead is your baby. Make it to do what makes you happy. Do what makes you're passionate about. This year, we moved in our new home, and there's so many things that we wanted to do and encompass and embody. But we agreed that, hey, let's pick 2 things that we're passionate about, that we know that's reasonable, that we can accomplish, and set your mindset. I'm a big believer in mindset. Think of that and set that goal and try to do your best to accomplish it.
And set what you can financially. Don't compare yourself to other homesteaders or other people in your area. Just focus on you and what you can do and what you can obtain. So most people start with gardening because growing your own food. So you need to figure out what is that going to look like for you. Oh, that? No, you can do. So figure out what kind of gardening you want to do. Do you want to put in a traditional in-ground garden? Are you in a small space that needs container gardening or like to grow vertically? Are you going to grow organic or not? What's the other one? And then how much are you going to grow? And then what are you going to do once you have all of that produce? Because you're going to plant 15, 20 tomato plants, and then you have all the tomatoes. And then you got to figure out how you're going to process them before they go bad. So whenever you're putting in your garden, those are the kind of things that you want to think about. So for us, this was the first garden. We did a traditional in-ground garden, and we didn't wait that 1 year. We learned some gardens. And we realized that our property we lived was on an aquifort. And so the garden turned into a swamp, and nothing really survived. So the following year, we put in a raised bed garden, which we asked the neighbor for wood that he had on a burn pit, and it was wood from a 20-foot trailer, so there was big pieces of wood there. And we established a raised bed garden, and then reaped in a huge produce. So it's kind of just an experiment with gardening, and don't be afraid to fail, because that's where you learn.
Yeah. Mistakes are going to be made. Clearly, our first year. I should have just took a flat bottom boat out there with the fishing pole and probably could have caught a bunch of marbles.
Could have caught all the marbles. So with gardening, you might want to extend your garden season. So we got this little greenhouse from Harbor Freight. Was it 6x8? I loved it. It was like my sheet shed. But you can get you can make little window boxes too. So a huge, massive greenhouse isn't on your scale. If you want to go really, really big, there are government grants that you can get to install a hoop house, and then you've got to have the government on your property with that, and then you have to give back to the community in some way whenever you go that route. It's something that we've kind of talked about doing, but that's kind of on the maybe next year goal or the year after. But whenever you have a greenhouse, you got to figure out how you want your setup to be inside your greenhouse and what you want your floor to be like. We did pavers, and then Dylan put in the shelving, and then I had raised beds underneath. So I was able to grow in this greenhouse all winter, actually. So I grew radishes, kale, lettuce, things like that, the cold winter crops. There are videos on our YouTube channel of like where I experimented with things. We grew garlic in here over winter, and we're able to start plants in early spring. So one thing that I was really wanting to do was like sell out of the greenhouse, but like that was never a thing that I ended up doing. But it's a way that you could create an income on your property.
Yeah, something with the greenhouse I wanted to mention. So, you know, we have a very small piece of property, a third of an acre. Yeah, we probably could have put a big, massive greenhouse up, but at our size at the time, a smaller scale was most beneficial for us. And we chose, this is a Harbor Freight greenhouse, as my wife said, and I think it was around $250, but it was reasonable for us at the time to go with, and it worked out really well. So if you want, I just feel like I need to say that, if you're wanting to put a greenhouse in, you know, think about your size of your property, you know, because there are different sizes of greenhouses. You know, do you want to go small, medium, large, you know, pick your taste, but I think that's a pretty key element to think about.
And the other thing is I would say is what does your weather look like? So like wherever you're going to put your greenhouse, what's the wind? Because we lost a couple panels on this, and it was kind of protected behind the shed. But it's something to think about, you know, if you decide to do greenhouse. We have 5 minutes. Hang on. So, meat birds. We started meat birds. Meat birds, we wanted to do meat. So, you know, you decided we're going to have to do all the things. Meat birds was something that we did. We did 40 birds on the third of an acre. So you don't need a lot of space to have birds.
Yep.
And now we teach classes on our property. We got to do assist Joe Salatin, 2 weeks ago? It's awesome. But teaching people how to get their hands dirty is really important. And to learn where your food comes from and to have that respect for your food. Yes.
With your meat birds, you guys keep them in a specific location, or do you use a mobile tractor?
Yeah, we have a tractor that we drive. And then, yeah, sorry.
So we move them every day.
Right.
I know she does it when I'm at work. We'll also let them free range. Most of the time we let them free range, and they can stretch their legs. And the meat is better. Like if they're not cooped up in one place and they're out moving around and doing what they do. You know,
So when you're actually letting them out to free range, actually.
Yeah, they run around with our chickens.
Yeah.
Yeah, because our chickens are free range, but yeah, they kind of just stay right
Do
there.
they separate themselves in the evening naturally, or?
It takes them a while. Meat birds are just a little stupid compared to regular chickens. Sometimes you'll go out there and they're sitting on the picnic table, and you're like, what are you doing? Your door's open, go put your stuff up. And so then you're chasing a bunch of meat birds around. So it just kind of depends.
Laying hens, and
Yeah.
they all, like clockwork, go
Yeah.
home when they're supposed to.
Right.
Yeah.
My concern is, would I be chasing a bunch of meat birds all over the property to get them back where they're?
With our experience, it's like a yes or no. It's kind of like chickens whenever you're trying to train them. Sometimes they'll go up and sometimes they won't.
Generally speaking, most of the time we have to. Some will go up, but generally we just check on them, make sure they end up in the pit. They don't end up on the dinner plate at nighttime for something.
So you got your produce, you got all your things, you got to figure out how you're going to store it, can it, freeze dry it, freezing it, all the things, which Amber is going to do a class today on freeze drying. Teaching our kids was a great big thing. We want, the next generation to learn how to do what we do. So getting our kids involved is really great. We got a deer last night. Our dog was right there helping us get it processed. And then for us, homeschool is kind of a part of the homestead. I know that doesn't affect everybody, but it might affect your budget. And then kind of your property whenever you move. Some new goals. I feel like we kind of talked about that. Creating new goals whenever you move, basically. You're going to need the right tools for the job. Sorry, I'm running through this. Right tools for the job. So going from a third of an acre to 40 acres, you're going to need a tractor. We have a pasture now, and so we need to be able to cut the grass. We need to be able to bale it, do all the things. And so that's now kind of figuring out budget, which of course, you know, he will knock on the door and he had a farmer come do it because he went and asked.
Yeah.
Security is something that you're going to need to know on your homestead. Biosecurity, germs that you're bringing in another animal, you want to have that animal quarantined for about 30 days before you introduce it to the rest of your animals. You know, your fences, things like that. And then like, I have personal security, so like, when we are away from the homestead for events or things like this, we have somebody watching our property while we're not home. Things like that. And then land management, if you get a big piece of property, it's a lot to
Yeah, so this is my favorite thing about our new property is I got 2 food plots that I'm working on. Obviously they're in the works, but you know, managing the wildlife, managing our property, hunting is a big part of who I am because it provides for my family. It puts food. We had a very hard lesson this year. One of our 2 biggest goals, as I spoke earlier, my plan was gardening and goats. We got our gardens situated, and then we were able to get milk goats. We got alpine goats, and we basically the bottle babies. We had them. They were like our kids. I mean, we loved them to death. And unfortunately, I came home one day after work, and some neighbors' dogs had ended up getting to them, and we ended up losing our livestock. But
So that is something to think about, is, you get attached to the animals. And then you lose it. But you can't let that stop you. You can't let that beat you down. So, sorry.
But in that, it is not only taught us a lesson. We thought we were prepared, but it also the realization of that is it can happen. You can be prepared to a certain extent, but we didn't know the outside boundaries. What else is out there, and that does happen.
Is that neighbor's dog still alive?
Yes. Yes. It's been a word. But, and it goes back to the next slide is community. So whenever you get animals, you guys are all here, you talk to one another, get each other's numbers. Whenever that happened, he created a friendship with a lady, and then she and I are friends, and she's kind of my goat mentor until she came and she helped me. And we tried to save one of our goats because we thought that she would be okay. And it didn't work out. But that's where community is important. Because knowledge is power. And if you don't know something, somebody else might. So, okay. So, questions real quick, and then y'all can leave if you need to. Oh, these are some ideas if you're starting small. So starting small, you can homestead and not have a homestead. You can participate in farmers markets. You can participate in a herd share. State of Indiana is you have to have pet milk. And so you can buy a herd share, so then you buy a part of the cow, and then you're able to get milk in a legal fashion because you are buying from, you're getting from your animal. And so then you can, have food and things like that without actually having the animals. So these are just some ideas if you are trying to start homesteading on a really small scale. That's my last slide.
Thank you guys for your time. I know we got cut a little short on time. We had some technical difficulties, but I just want to thank you guys for giving us the time today to talk to you guys. But also, if you're a talker like me and you want to continue to talk, I am very open. Please come see me and my wife afterwards. We're very passionate about our community and the people, because the homesteading community is a beautiful thing. I love people in the homesteading community. But if you got any questions or need advice on stuff, yes, go ahead. We were Seymour, Indiana, but we're outside of Seymour a little ways.
But the link is right here. If you guys want to pull this presentation back up and read it some more, you are free to do that.
Yeah, if you guys want to come talk to us, we will show you this link, and it just breaks down what we're talking about today. So. Thank you guys so much.
Hey, y'all, just thank you to everyone that came out. Thank you to the presenters, Dylan and Megan. You guys did an awesome job. Thank you for working through the technical issues that we all faced. It's been a day of truly, honestly, homesteading because we got to adapt and overcome all day long, y'all. It's been hiccup after hiccup, but we got it. Tad Streepy from Gypsy Rain Organics is back there. Come on in. She's doing a wrap up for a YouTube video.
Photobomb.
Oh yeah, look at there, y'all. There we go. So y'all have got 4 YouTube channels in one video right here. That's pretty cool.
It is cool.
Yeah, everybody's
This is
linked
Dirk
below.
and Natalie from Mama Bear's Homestead and More right here. And that was Tad from Gypsy Rain Organics that popped in and popped out. You guys got anything you want to pitch in it? Here we go.
You gonna pop back in?
Tad's popping back in, y'all.
I'm still here.
Never left.
So we just want to say thank you for joining us today here at Celebrating the Harvest event.
Yeah.
Next year you should be here too.
Yeah, and also come check us out in the spring.
It only
in
gets
Medora.
better every time.
That's right.
Yeah.
Every time we learn a little bit more and it gets a little bit better, y'all.
Right? Bye guys.
See ya.
Thank you.